So, over the course of like 2 days, I just found all the Eeveelutions, save for Umbreon and Espeon. And even though those are my two favorites, I kind of just want to talk about all of them in a big video review, just to talk about some of the cool things and bad things with this Jazzwares Pokemon line. So, I mean, why not? Why not? So, if you ever want to see me review 7 separate 3-packs, hey, dreams do come true, I guess. For anyone who might be curious as to what this is, Jazzwares have had the Pokemon license for a few years now, and it's just a big excuse to just reuse the same figures over and over and over again. Like, thank God I sold the entire collection off a while back and I'm just now being selective with it because you're gonna buy duplicates all the time. There are duplicates in this video. It's all just an excuse to keep using the same figures from like 7 years ago, but people will buy them because they're Pokemon, right? Thing is, right? They do make new figures, sometimes, and they're really good when they do. And yet, what's that they say about how art can't survive under capitalism? Thing is, right? Figures are fine. They're cheap. You can get them anywhere. They're clearly made for kids. I'm not complaining about what the core reason for these things existing are. I'm just wanting to point out, like, if you are a Pokemon fan, and this is your main thing to collect in Pokemon, which surely it is for people, because there's a lot of Tomy figures here, and Tomy is the flagship for the Pokemon merchandise line. I just want to go over some things that are cool about these figures, some things that are not so cool, and you can decide from there if you want to get into getting all the Eeveelutions. And by the way, like I said, no Umbreon, no Espeon. Wish I had them. They're my favorites, but I haven't seen them yet, and I've been sitting on this video for long enough. So if you watch my channel for long enough, you kind of know how these guys work. I reviewed them before. Basically, you can get a 3-pack of figures, and you get one battle figure, which is to say a more 5-inch scale figure with articulation. Sometimes they come with a gimmick, but usually it's just an articulated figure. And then 2 static figurines, both made from Tomy. It's one of the main ways you buy Jack's Pokemon figures. Their basic size classes are you can basically get this guy alone, you can get these two alone, you can get a slightly larger figure than this that's a gimmick figure alone, you can get an even bigger figure that has no gimmick but is just huge, that is the gimmick, for more, or you can buy the 3-pack. I know that sounds confusing. It's not. But it's a real interesting way to drain your bank account. That's what it is. So this first 3-pack of Jolteon, Wulu, and Carvana, they're interesting because a thing you'll figure out very quickly when you mess with these 3-packs, there's no synergy. It's not like this is a simple theme, this is like even a shared generation. No, it's kind of just whatever figure they had floating around. And sometimes that means you get really cool combinations of figures. And sometimes that means you get a lot of duplicates. Here, it's somewhere in the middle. So let's talk about what should be the selling point, the Jolteon. The Jolteon is really weird looking. Like, look at this head. This, like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's, oh, good. Confused Jolteon. There we go. I like it. I don't think it's a good figure. I just think it's a very funny figure because somehow they've made Jolteon look like it's perplexed by everything. Alongside them, you have Wulu. Wulu's cute. Very simple figurine. A little bit of paint splotch on the face. But it's decent. Good sculpting. The one that I'm really digging, though, is Carvana. Now, unfortunately, you do have a little bit of damage to the fin here. But just look at this. The sculpting is super sharp. The paint looks great. It's a very unique look. It's a Pokemon that just doesn't get a lot of figures. And I'm glad they included the little stand to keep it upright. That's the reason to buy this 3-pack for me, and it's not a very good reason. That said, if you have the Sharpedo battle figure they did earlier, now you have the duo. So, I mean, I guess like an 8.6732 out of 10. Our next 3-pack has a Vaporeon battle figure alongside a Rockruff and a Bellossum, and I do think there is a theme here because when you look, they are all just the happiest of guys. Look at this. It's so adorable. This is probably my favorite 3-pack here just because all 3 of these are good figures, but also they just look like they're having so much fun together. Looking at Vaporeon, you do have a little bit of articulation. No, you don't. I thought you did. You don't. You do have articulation in the legs, though. Nothing in the tail. The sculpting is fine. It's, very basic. That said, Vaporeon's not a very like crazy design, so basic works. I do think that the neck collar looks weird, but I think that is actually like correct for Vaporeon. Looking at the others, Rockruff is cute. I love his little like kind of half-step pose in the paint. Very good little Rockruff. Bellossum is also incredibly well done. Bellossum's not one of my favorite Pokemon, but I do like this figure a lot. And also, I never knew that Bellossum literally was just a flower. So that's interesting. But hey, these three together just look like they're going on little adventures together. And that's enough for me to give it an 8.924 out of 10. The next 3-pack of Flareon, Tyrunt, and Appleton is the first one where I can say there's only one good one here. Let's just look, right? Flareon is really stubby. Is that correct? Is Flareon supposed to be, like, noticeably, like, stockier than the others? Like, you get them standing like this, but then their head looks really weird. But, like, there you go. At least they're a little bit taller now. Also, the tail is just a little too bulbous. It is a really weird look in the face. And also, I'll be honest, I just don't like Flareon. Flareon is my least favorite evolution. I'm sorry. Tyrunt looks great. I love Tyrunt. They're one of my favorite Pokemon. Thing is, yeah, this isn't an action figure. There's not articulation you have to account for. It's a figurine. Figurines are static. They're supposed to stand still. But, yeah, Tyrunt is not one of my favorites. But then Appleton, look at this thing. That's incredible. I love it. The paint, the sculpting. I love like the little like heat lines on the pie top. Oh my god, they got this guy good. Like, I'm not going to say this 3-pack is worth it, but Appleton is worth it. It's so good. It's so good. And it's the reason I give this pack an 8.149 out of 10. Going from the Gen 1 evolutions to the Gen 4 evolutions, we have my best friend Amanda's favorite evolution, that being Glaceon. Now, here's the thing, right? I like this Pokemon a lot, and I like the Pokemon with it a lot. This Charmander, I have 4 of this Charmander. They dupe him a lot. So, Charmander we're looking at first. It's decent, you know, good little battle stance. Paint is fine. It's fine. It's fine. But then this Geodude. Look at the Geodude. I love the little invisible acrylic stand they packed with him. It gives that floating look you'd want from the anime, but if you want to, you could also have him just sitting there. I personally like to keep him floating. And he just looks like, yeah, yeah. He looks like he's about to sing a song about how I'm about to die. That's what this looks like. And then you have Glaceon. Glaceon has a weird facial expression. Like, I guess that's determined, maybe? Also, there's, like, weird black paint on the top of the head there. But overall, it looks really good. And here's the thing, right? I don't actually know for sure. Are the Gen 4 evolutions, like, notably, like, thinner or, like, taller than the Gen 1 evolutions? Like, I'm looking at the figure's copyright date. Well, maybe that's the reason. Jolteon here's from 2015. This is a 2021 Glaceon. And the reason I bring this up is these are both reused, but also there are Jolteons, Flareons, and Vaporeons that are in that style. So they're just mixing and matching from collections here, which I don't mind. I want to have a more diverse collection. But I do find that interesting that even though they have a mold that they've used for all the evolutions before, and this could give them a more unified look, they've chosen to give the Gen 1 guys that more distinctive earlier body type. It's interesting. I don't think it's intentional, but I think, you know, it's an interesting choice. And that interesting choice is what gives this figure an 8.6739 out of 10. Leafeon, who is a cool Pokemon, is the main reason I'm glad they didn't use the standard newer body type for all the evolutions. You want to know why? Because this figure can barely stand. Like, look at this. Look how thin they are. Look how thin they are. And I've finally got them standing, and of course now they're not going to fall. But let's say you get even just one of these legs, like, slightly misaligned. Oh, there we go. Now it can't stand. And it takes a while to wrestle it back into place. Granted, once it's standing, it's fine. But also, Leafeon's just not a terribly great design compared to some of the others. And there's also the fact that, hey look, it's a duplicate. Hey Wulu. This Wulu's actually better than the other Wulu, but I already have a Wulu. The only figure I really care about here is Duskull. This is an amazing Duskull. The painting and sculpting are so good. You had the acrylic stand, you had the eyes. It kind of follows you even. It's cool how they did this Duskull. I just kind of wish I could have just gotten the Duskull and not worried about the other two. But the Duskull alone gets it an 8.1392 out of 10. And then finally we end on a 3-pack of some of my absolute favorite Pokemon, actually. Sylveon, Espeon, and Umbreon always compete for my number 1 favorite Eeveelution, but number 2 is Sylveon. I adore Sylveon. I love the typing, and my best friend Maddie, this is their favorite Eeveelution. I just like Sylveon a lot, and they're with 2 other Pokemon I really like, and I love how it almost looks like they're like, make way for Sylveon. They're doing their best, like, here comes Prince Ali type of look. Looking at Sylveon, the paint and the sculpting are all terrific. They remember the ribbons, the figure stands very well. I like the Sylveon a lot. And then you have Clefairy here, which is doing a metronome pose. It looks solid enough. I like the painting. They remember the wings on the back. Very solid. And then you got the boy. Look at him. It's Gibble. Like, Garchomp is in my top 10, and I love the entire line. Gibble, especially, is just so good. I can't wait to get a Fuecoco and just have those two hang out. But overall, out of all the 3-packs we looked at, I think this is the best one. I think it's the best Eeveelution figure mixed with 2 of the better static figures. So with all that said, I think I give them an 8.962 out of 10. I spent money on those.